Hello everyone, it's time for another record haul. This time I have some different times I've bought records over the past month or so. Well, it's more like the last 2 or 3 weeks. The first one is a mail order I got from within Australia. The next two are a couple of days I went with my friend Grant, who helps me run and is a co-organiser of the Shambra. And the third one is a mail order that arrived yesterday from the United States, from a seller in Kentucky where I made another big order last year. So let's begin. As you can see, there's quite a lot to get through. I'll start with the order from within Australia. It was actually a seller from Christie's Downs, which is south of Adelaide, on the opposite end of Adelaide to where I am, and I found them on eBay. I just searched for, I think it was goth vinyl, searching under music, and I happened to see a Skeletal family record they were selling. This one, in fact. I looked through and found a couple of other things I wanted, so I thought, yeah, cool, great. I'll start with the Skeletal family record since I've already shown it to you. And it's the 12-inch for just a minute. I hadn't heard the song before, but I looked it up and thought, yeah, it's alright. And I want to get more Skeletal family stuff anyway, so that was a handy pickup. Next up, you know, the Ross fans are going to love this. They are going to love it. Christian Death 06. Now, it's a 12-inch, and you know why the Ross fans are going to love it? Because this is actually a Valor era Christian Death record. So enjoy it, guys. I'm sure you mad. Anyway, yeah, it's not bad. I listened to it before I bought it. I thought, yeah, that sounds alright. I'll get that. And the last record I got from that seller, Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet. Now this is an album that I've wanted since I was a kid. I remember hearing it at my friend's house, thinking, damn, they're cool, when it was brand new. And it's just one of those things that's been on my radar, sort of not a top priority, but just floating around about. And they had it for, I think it was $25, which was a good price to pick it up for. And it's a nice, clean copy and everything, no scratches. And I think it was original pressing too, which is nice. Anyway, on to the next lot. Now this lot arrived, we went on the 8th of August. As you can see, there's a lot in here to get through for this one. This is by far the biggest. And it's split into 2 different sites that we went to. The first one, we went to a pawn shop called Queen of Pawns down in Salisbury North, sorry. Near Elizabeth South, yeah, near where the old Holden factory used to be. And I found quite a bit. I was quite surprised because pawn shops usually don't have a lot, if they have anything at all. Right, here we are. I'll start with a nice 80s compilation. Here we are. It's just hits. 85 to 86. I'll put the other ones over there for now, so I'm doing one at a time. Now, what I normally like to have compilations because it's just a cheap way to get a lot of good music without having to buy a heap of albums. And what caught my eye on this was In Between Days by The Cure. Let's see, what else is there? There's a couple of songs that that my other half Lisa likes as well, like Dream Academy's Life in a Northern Town and The Hooters, All You Zombies. And it's also got Axel F on there as well, which is nice, which is something I didn't already have. So for $5, can't really complain. Okay, next up, 12-inch for Billy Idol's Rebel Yell. And I was actually quite surprised to see this there because I found Billy Idol stuff, it's not always that common. The best part about this is it's got White Wedding parts 1 and 2 on the other side, and Crank Call, which I've never actually heard. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but having both of those, it's like, yeah, sold. Definitely want that. Next up, this one's one of my sort of quirky bands, or artists that I like. You, Josh, 12-inch for Infinity. And it has the 7-inch mix on it too, which I don't think I actually have on a 7-inch. I do have the album that's on though. But it's got the 12-inch mix, the spacey saxophone mix, and the 7-inch mix, which is pretty good. And yeah, I mean, it was a little on the pricey side at 15, but I have never seen it turn up before, so I figured, well, why not? Now we're getting into some fun stuff. Here we are. Goofy Greats. I like these weird little albums that turn up sometimes. They can be fun. The main reason why I got this one though is it's got Surfing Bird by the Trashmen on it. And the version I've got on a different sort of record like this isn't the right. It just sounds a little off, like it's an alternate recording. I'm hoping this will be the main version that most people know. And a lot of it's just general, I guess, 50s to 70s fun rock. Oh, it's also got Mana Mana Do 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 on it as well, which was a little bonus I noticed after I bought it. And it was only $5 anyway, so can't go wrong there. And the last thing I bought, oh, this thing's great. This is all from the pawn shop, of course. Ooh, so spoopy. I mean, just look at it. Oh, it's an effects record, so I don't know how much I use it. If I do a Halloween display, I could just have it playing inside, or at a party or something, I can have this playing on one turntable and have music playing on the other to sort of do some extra stuff. But have a look at the back too. Isn't that great? I just saw this, and when I saw it, it's like, yeah, I love it. But then I saw the price tag of $20. It's like, I don't love it for $20 though. But what happened was, I had $60 worth of records. And given a pawn shop, I figured they'll negotiate. So I went there and said, how about $50 for the lot? And they said yes. And I was more than happy with that. So it effectively made that a $10 record. Okay, next we have Big Star Records. Which is, they used to have a record store in the city. Now I only have one that's out at McGill. But the interesting thing is, when we went there, we were hoping to hit another record store called Wolfie's, which is next door, but unfortunately they weren't open. I think we more than made up for it anyway with what we ended up getting there. First up, I bought something for my other half. It's a Glenn Shorrock record. Went with her to a Glenn Shorrock gig earlier this year before quarantine started. And when I looked at the back of this record, it reminded me pretty much of just about everything he played that night, so I knew she'd like it. It's got little bits and pieces from all the different bands he was in, so that was nice, and hopefully I shouldn't need to get any more stuff by him anytime soon. Now most people are going to be looking at this and thinking, what the hell is that? And there's a good reason why you'd be thinking, what the hell is that? They're actually a band from New South Wales. And this was released 1989. On the label here, it says that they are indie new wave, but when I looked it up online, because I wasn't sure what it was, this is what's handy about bringing a phone to these things. You look music up. If you hear it and it sounds alright, you buy it. If not, you don't. You never had that option before, unless you sort of ask them to stick it on a turntable, which they might not do if it's all sealed up. It turns out it sounds more post-punk goth to me than anything indie or new wave. In particular, I like the B-side of it, Poison Shadows. But yeah, that was a nice little find. Quite quite rare. I mean, they originally had priced at $15. They ended up dropping the price to $8, so can't complain with that. And it's not exactly common, and I will play it. I'll pop that one over here. Right, next up. Now, this was a surprise. Now, I've never even heard of this band before. Gothic Girls. And it's a 12-inch for a single called Glass Baby. And I just gave it a quick listen on my phone before getting it, and thought, I saw that, oh, hang on, what's this? Never heard of that. And it's like, the name sounds about right, but I've heard names of artists before with the dreaded G word in them, and they had nothing to bloody do with it. So it's worth a look. It's like, no, the cover, the artwork works. I mean, on the back, it's just like a negative of that. And it sounded alright. So I might play it, I might not, don't know yet. Either way, it's a nice thing to have. And the last thing I bought from Big Star, this is the big thing, Rammstein, Mutter. This is my favourite Rammstein album, and the thing that amazes me with the Rammstein stuff in general is when they put an album together, they go all out. There's like a booklet in there and everything. It's a double record, and that was $60. To buy it brand new now, you'd be paying in Australia probably at least $70, and this is practically new. We looked at it and thought, no, we don't even think it's ever been played. So that was a good pickup, and that was in the used section. That was everything on the 8th. Now moving on to the 9th of August, Grant Gate was a bit bored and said, hey, I'm heading down to the Port Adelaide markets, would you like to come with? And it's like, yeah, alright. I was mainly looking to get stuff for my son's birthday, but I thought, well, if I see any records, I might grab them while I'm there. And we're on to that lot now in my lucky record bag. First thing, I bought something for my daughter. Chipmunk Punk. She likes the Chipmunk movies and some of their music and that, and I said to her, hey, you know, they originally started by releasing this stuff on records and stuff, even though this is one of the later ones. What year was it? 1980. So yeah, the early stuff I think was like in the 50s and 60s, but that just pretty much just covers of whatever. It's not exactly an expensive record, but yeah, I thought she might like it. It'll probably drive me nuts. Okay, next up. Now this was a very interesting find. A copy of the Nylon's Kiss Him Goodbye. If you're unfamiliar with the song, na 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 na, na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye, that one. And it's got a dance mix, an a cappella mix, a dub mix, and the radio mix. It's actually a limited edition too. The interesting thing is, when I looked this thing up, I bought it for $3. I looked it up on Discogs, it's selling for $50. And yeah, I made certain that it was the right version that I've got, and it is. And I was like, wow. I did not expect that. I wouldn't be surprised if, say, a UK or a US pressing was only worth a few dollars and they looked up the wrong one. But I scored big there. Falco and Bridget Nielsen. Falco meets Bridget Nielsen. So they're not even working together, they just met. And, you know, it's Falco, had to get it. I like Falco's work. And I had a quick listen to it. It's not the actual dance mix that I heard, or the rock version, or the other version. Yeah, that's the 3 versions on here. Doesn't have the radio mix. That was the one that I heard. And yeah, it's definitely Falco with Bridget Nielsen throwing in some vocally bits here and there. And I thought, it's a bit of fun. I'll have that. Then we went to Mr. V, and I didn't find much at Mr. V. I only bought one thing, but I'm very happy with it. I would have been happy with what I had earlier, even if I didn't find anything. But I found in the used section a reissue of Motorhead's Iron Fist. Now, I only have a couple of Motorhead singles. One's a live version of Killed by Death. Another one is Overkill. I'm not very familiar with a lot of their stuff. It's just sort of hard rock's never really been a big thing I've dived into. I listened to this because it had a download, which is great. I haven't even had to play the vinyl yet. But yet again, this was one of those ones that came, somebody cut down the side and left the shrink wrap on. And you don't do that with records, because the nature of shrink wrap is to shrink. And if you leave it and there's a little bit of heat, it'll shrink. It might damage your record. So tear that stuff off, put it in one of those sleeves you buy. These things, which I'm going to put these in after I've finished this review. But yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised by this. There were some cool tracks on there. I noticed when listening to it, I was like, hey, I can hear how influential this is on a lot of metal, rock and punk. So that's a nice thing to pick up. Now, finally, the records that arrived yesterday, and I think I've saved the best to last. This seller is someone that I bought a lot from last year as well, around the middle of the year when I had a bit of extra money. They're based in Kentucky, but they have an Australian storefront. I think they have storefronts in a few countries, wouldn't surprise me. But the best part about this seller is when they price their records, they include postage in the overall price. And for someone like me buying from Australia, that is an absolute godsend, because we get gouged with postage all the time. So if I can get a record for, say, between 40 and 60 bucks with postage included, that is awesome. And this guy sells all new stuff, reissues, whatever. Switchblade Symphony, Gallery Serpentine. Now this is an album that I don't actually have, but I've got a lot of stuff by them on compilations with CDs, and so when I saw it on vinyl, I mean, the gatefold is really nice. When they did this reissue, they released it as a marbled purple and what I've got, which is the marbled clear. I'm not sure how well that's going to show. Just sort of move it around a bit, hopefully it'll show up a bit better. Which is going to be an absolute bastard to DJ with. But given that was the only option at the time, I'd rather have it than not. The Wake mask. It's The Wake. Good standard 90s goth rock band. Another one that I never actually bought an album for personally, but I've got a lot of their stuff on compilations. And when this came out, when they first released it, it's like, oh, I want to get that. Then I looked at it when I was, and it's like, oh, I'm going to get eaten on the postage. And then I found this seller had it, it's like, yes! And then I eventually got it. And this one is on smoky purple vinyl, which may or may not show up very well. It's kind of a smoky purpley colour. It's very cool. It's kind of translucent as well, which is also going to make it a pain to DJ with, but at least I've now got it. I can now play the sideshow on vinyl, which is nice. And next up, I've got a death rock compilation, Killed by Death Rock Volume 2. Now, I mostly bought this because it's got Skeletal Family's Promised Land on it, and I figured, well, it should have some other stuff that I like, and it came with a download code, which was great, so I've already had a couple of listens to it, and wow. Oh wow, I love this compilation. The first half is all good. In fact, there's only one song I don't really like, and that's the first on the B-side. Really happy I got this. But I have to say one thing, and I think it's either ADS or ADS. They have a song on here called Waiting for the War. Joy Division called. They want Shadowplay back. I'll put a link to it under the video, and you'll hear what I mean. The last two, it was a case, I'm going to show them both kind of at the same time. She passed away. She passed away. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce them right now because I'm going to butcher it. So I'm not going to bother, but yeah. First album, third album. It's probably the best way of putting it. Turkish, I believe. So a lot of their songs aren't in English anyway. A few songs that I have played DJing from both albums, and I do like the bands too. I couldn't decide which one I wanted more, so I figured bugger it, I'll get both. From this seller I was going to get a copy of Floodland, but I ended up getting a copy of Floodland that Grant gave me, which he picked up cheap from Mr. V, which was one of the record stores we went to, and that happened a couple of weeks before, and it turned out to be a copy that a friend of mine sold his record collection to the record store, and now I've got his copy. And it spun me out a bit. But yeah, generally though, these things I'll definitely play. I get requests for them all the time. So great to have, and a lot of people would be like, well, have you got any modern goth stuff on vinyl? And it's like, yes, I do. I just don't have a lot of it yet. But I do plan on rectifying that as more stuff like it turns up on eBay and Discogs and that, and I can buy it without getting completely destroyed by postage. Like, I want to get the new Rosetta Stone album on vinyl. It only came out a few days ago, and to get it, it cost me double the cost of the album or more, just because of the postage, and that makes it a bit prohibitive. So I'm going to have to wait until it gets hopefully picked up and someone else sells it elsewhere, or someone's distributing it on Discogs or eBay, things like that, where I can do like a bulk order and get more records for the same postage. But anyway, that is the review of what I bought this time. I'm very happy with everything. Yeah, I don't do these too often, so I'll see you next time.